Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen are the pairs that we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you do stay to the end of the video, so I do have a bonus pair in store, so make sure you do stay to the end to find out which pair that is. But yeah, guys, actually no trades for me this week. Again, didn't really see much activity. The market is a little bit dry. We did see some movement early on, but it was a little bit dry, so I didn't really get the opportunities that I was looking for. Again, that matched my criteria, that is, but there are some setups that look good for next week, so hopefully we can find something. But typically coming towards the end of the year, there are less trades typically for me anyway, so it's as expected. But next week does look good, so hopefully we can get something there. But anyway, straight into the analysis this week. So as you can see, EURUSD on the screen, like always, up first. Now for this week, we did see a nice rally to the upside. I did say I will be looking at buys for this one. I was looking for a buy at this support. Never really got the retest of that level. The market just flew to the upside. But now we're up at this resistance, and EURUSD is kind of in a tricky area. You have this key level here on the 4H. You can see beautiful support, big move to the upside again, and resistance, really big move to the downside. So really key level running through the current price action right now. So you've got resistance up here, which is obviously that prior high from last week, market respecting that currently, and it's obviously above that support. So in this area here, I don't really want to touch price. If you do start breaking the highs and higher highs, then that's when I'll start anticipating the market going higher and the continuation of this uptrend here, since we did break structure from this high a while ago. So technically the market on EURUSD is actually bullish, despite the huge bearish trend we've had over the past year or so for Euro. But if we do clear this high, let me just tidy this up. If we do clear this high around 1.044, longs are looking very, very good indeed, because then we're above the key level, broken through the resistance. So we've got two confluences on our favor, retest, higher low, find the continuations to go higher, and targets, I'm looking at this kind of area here, where all these wicks are piled up, which is more or less around the 1.06 mark, maybe slightly underneath it. So around there looks like a good target to have. If we break underneath, I'm going to be anticipating a bit of a reversal for Euro. We've got the double top pattern, potentially break back underneath the level. We'll be expecting the market to continue lower, certainly if we break past this point there, and obviously that level will be a target, and obviously this level here will be a target as well. So EURUSD for me is kind of making up its mind of which way it wants to go. Truthfully, it doesn't really matter which way, because we can obviously make profit both ways. But if you do see that downside move, it could be the start of a major reversal, because in the monthly time frame, or on the monthly time frame rather, we are coming into this massive level where we could see the market flip bearish again, and maybe this double top reversal could be the start of that. So if we can get back underneath 1.03750, which is this key level, we'll be looking for the retest for some sales, clear target down here, which is that neckline of the double top pattern. And if we break through that, we can see the market go further. So that kind of there is the target. But maybe if we break through, we can push the trade down there. We will have to see. And the buys look good above this resistance here at 1.04338. Above that, buys look very, very good indeed. Above the key level, above the resistance, and we'll probably just see this uptrend continue, which you can see started back then at that low, Wednesday 28th. And since then, we've seen some higher highs and higher lows, and we could just be seeing the market continue to do that. So above that high, buys look very, very good indeed. But if you break below, we can still take advantage of that. So this is what I'll be looking at for next week for Euro. Right now, not really interested in this area. Very, very messy between that resistance and that support. If you're looking for some short-term trades, then yeah, you might be able to squeeze some buys from here and some sells up there. But not really my cup of tea. So we'll be waiting for the break of 1.03700, which is that support, retest is short, or break above the highs there at 1.04300 for the retest to go long, and those levels there at 1.05980 and 1.022 will be my targets for next week. Okay, so now on to USD JPY. So for this pair, we did see a nice rally followed by the market absolutely collapsing to the downside. As you can see there, I did say buys look good at the start of the week, either on the retest of that resistance or down low down here. Did see a slight pop to the upside there. Didn't really get the retest at all at that level. We just broke through, came into this area here, well, almost into the area. That was kind of the target. for the week for USD JPY, because we've had all of this selling pressure here to the downside, very strong impulse. The chances are we're going to see a corrective move, which is sort of that move there for another impulse, which is what we've seen there as well. So looking for buys for USD JPY do make sense because the higher time frames are still bullish, as you can see, but you don't want to push the trade too far because of all that momentum, which is why we came down that second time. But for USD JPY, I'm going to be focusing a lot more on this prior high here, which again, the market used as support for a nice rally to the upside, but it looks like on the 4H, we could be looking to break through. You can see that prior high there, big move to the downside. Market was retesting it as support a few times, 1, 2, bit of a fake move to the downside. We did get below it, now we're testing it as resistance. So if the market does hold on to this as resistance here, it could be the catalyst for some more downside for USD JPY, because although in the higher time frames like the daily and the weekly, the market is still technically bullish, the 4H is seeing a lot of bearish momentum and is bearish as well. So the time frames are contradicting one another. So either we're going to see the 4H continue being bearish, snap through the daily support, or snap through the daily prior low and shift the daily chart to bearish as well, or we're going to see the 4H eventually correct itself bullish, and then we're going to see the higher time frames continue higher as well. So it's either or, and at the moment the 4H is definitely still bearish. So I do think we can see some nice short-term sells to the downside. I'm also looking at this being an area of value here as well. This nice consolidation for big kind of explosion to the upside there, as you can see. So coming into this level here around 137.5 looks like a good short-term move for USD/JPY. Again, from the higher time frame perspective, we could well come into this level excuse me, find support and potentially get back above 139.500 and start running again, because if I just highlight the daily structure, you can see we've got higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and again higher high, potentially higher low. So we don't want to be looking at these sells for too long, hence why I said some short-term sells, just because the high time frames are bullish. So although the 4H looks very bearish and good to sell, we have to understand that the higher time frames hold more strength. So we might be looking good for a few candles to the downside, but then suddenly you see a huge candle pushing back up again, or a big wick like we saw here, and it's because the buyers in the higher time frames are fighting back. So a push to 137.5 looks good, potentially some buys at this level, or if we break back above as well. But for next week, focusing on some short-term sells to the downside into that level from 139.350, we'll call it, back down into 137.500, which also lines up with that wick quite nicely there as well for next week. Okay, so now on to USD CAD. So USD CAD had a nice spike to the upside, followed by a nice down move. I was expecting us to find resistance here and then start to roll over, but the market had a bit of a fake move to the upside first. Now it's slightly creeping back underneath that same level, which is in fact where I'm actually looking for some sell opportunities at this level, some short-term sell opportunities, because the higher time frames are still bullish. So I'm still looking for USD CAD to trade a lot higher eventually. I'm still looking at a test at this level, so potentially we could still see the market come into this area here. We just about missed it, so I'm looking to see if we can come down, retest that level, and then potentially go bullish, or just break above this area, and then I'll look to go long for USD CAD above there, which is around 1.35250. Above that, I'll be happy to go long, because by then we've probably got a bit of a bullish trend on our hands with some higher highs and higher lows, and from there I'll be more than happy to go long, because then we've got the 4H and the daily lining up and we're above a key level as well. So the confluence is strong above that level for some longs. However, at the moment in time, you can see we are pretty consistent with these lower highs in the 4H time frame, so you can see the immediate trend right now is definitely to the downside, hence why we're looking for some short-term sell opportunities to go bullish later on. So looking at something like this, we'll move to the downside and then some buys later on, or we just break through when the market opens, trade higher, get above that level, and then we look for some buys. You know, looking at potential scenarios, because we can never really know what the market is going to do. We can always just, you know, adapt and react to what the market's giving us. Right now, consistent lower highs, you can see here, 1, 2, potentially 3. Look good for some sells. Nice little retest on Monday morning. Sells back down to 1.32, and then probably some buys later on. I'm not too keen buying down here, so because we've got the 4H trend still intact. So I might interest buys depending if I get a good sign of reversal. If not, I'll just be patient and wait for the break of the highs. Much higher probability trade. And if I'm right, we're probably gonna come all the way back to the highs, so I don't need to catch the trade all the way down there. I can still catch great risk reward from above that level there as well. So I'm not too fussed about entering down there, but for now, USD CAD sells look good. We'll be looking at 1.339 for some sells. If I do get some longs, it will be above 1.35250, and then target for that one into that price swing high there, of course, for next week for USD CAD. Okay, so now onto Euro Pound. So we did see a nice down move this week. We did break through this structure here on the left last week. So I said we're expecting to move down. A couple of areas we could target, that high there, or the high of that kind of range, and this low here. So we did come into both of those areas. Now, Euro Pound's at a very key area. If I do zoom out just a tad, you can see we are coming into a very key support. Tested a few times, 1, 2, couple times there. Nice big wick, couple tests there, and again we're testing it right now as well. So Euro Pound from this support has had a big rally, but each time we're starting to form these major lower highs. So I do expect eventually this support to break, but we could bounce to the upside first, form another major lower high like we did over there, and then potentially come back down and then go and break it. Or the market might decide it wants to break it now, and then we could see some downside. As to where we could go once we do get that breakout, I'm looking at this area here. There is a bit of a minor area here of support and a bit of a range where we did find, if I zoom in so you guys can see properly, where we did kind of wick down, kind of consolidate and broke to the upside. So that would be like an area of demand which the market could react from. So I would say watch out for 0.85360 around that area, but this is truly the target I'll be aiming for, which is around the 0.85 mark there. So Euro Pound for me, looking at sells, whether we push to the upside one more time and then come back down, or we just break through. I'm only looking at sells. I'm not really trying to buy that support. Not saying it can't go up, and I'm not saying you can't look to buy from there. You definitely can. It's a great support. You could get a decent amount of pips from that, maybe 40, 50, 60 pips, but it's not really a move I'm looking for. So I'm looking for areas to sell. If we do have a bit of a bounce to the upside, I'm looking at these two areas here, because we did have this kind of support there, had a bit of a minor test. Market came straight back down, so I'm looking to see if we can rally from this level into 0.866 or even into 0.87, and then potentially sell off, giving us that next major lower high. So obviously got the one all the way up there, then we've got another one, could be seeing another one print around there-ish for the dump to the downside, and those are the levels I'll be looking to sell from, or just get the break and retest. Very, very simple, back down into this level. Probably will take profit there, or maybe exit the trade there, depending on risk reward of that kind of demand area there, but looking for sells for Euro Pound. So hopefully this makes sense. Again, can't really predict the future, so I could get some sells here, which will look just as good as selling slightly higher up. But it's just important, I need to see the rejection, get my candlestick formations, what I'm looking for, and then I'll look to enter the trade. If I do get sells from up there, I'll probably only trade it back down to the support. If I do get the break and retest of this level, then obviously I will be looking to sell back down into this level here. So that's the plan for Euro Pound. Bearish bias for this one, since we failed to rally higher and take out the price swing highs over there. When we had this rally, we failed to take out those highs. We just came straight back down, back into that equal low area there. So Euro Pound for me, looking for sells. If we bounce to the upside, getting a sell from 0.866 or 0.87, break and retest of 0.858, and looking at sells back down to 0.85 for next week. Okay, so now onto AUD/USD. So it's very, very similar setup to Euro, and I'll explain why in a second. So if you haven't actually checked out the EURUSD analysis early in the video and you skipped ahead, feel free to go and check that out as well. It's very, very similar setup, but we've got a key level here on the H4. You can see that price swing low. Actually, if I go to the daily, you see it a little bit clearer. You can see that prior low there, nice drive to the upside, broke through. Now we're going straight through price right now. So it's a bit tricky to see if the market's actually breaking through this to rally through, or just having a little bit fake out to the upside and to the downside for the market to eventually come back down. You know, either one could be happening right now. So again, not really looking to go long on this level, even though we're technically above that key level, because we are coming into that resistance where we could form that double top to reverse, Reason being the higher time frames are still very bearish for AUD/USD. As you can see, consistent lower highs since February last year, consistent lower highs, and potentially, we are in that area where we could form another lower high to reverse and come straight back down. I was looking at sells for AUD/USD this week on the retest of this level, however, didn't get any sign of reaction there. Slight bearish candle, but no real momentum, and the market broke straight through. So for me, I want to see the market get back underneath this key level, give me that double top. I'll look for the retest, lower high, and then sells, key level, well, key kind of low there, which is the neckline of the pattern, because if this is the double top, first high, second high, this is the neckline. So if you break through that, then that's when we can really see the bearish trend kick in, and we can start ticking off these areas as targets. However, that's not the case just yet, but we can obviously plan for that ahead if that does happen. So we'll be looking at sells for AUD/USD if we break underneath 0.67, nice big psychological level as well. And again, first target does have to be that prior low. If we snap through that, then like I said, we can look a lot lower, potentially back down to lows, but this will probably be the next target around 0.65, 200. And if we clear the highs and we don't get the double top and the market's breaking out, that means that the market is now trading above this key level, key daily low, and we could be seeing the market go a lot higher. We've got this area here where we did see brief support for that resistance, big move to the downside around 0.69. That for me is looking like the next likely area the market could be headed towards, and we could be seeing this uptrend here just continue for another leg. So longs look good for break and retest above 0.67810. So above this level, nice little break and retest, stops underneath, and then taking that buy into 0.69-ish, around that. So that's the plan for AUD/USD. Sells underneath that zone, buys above. In here for me is just consolidation slash gray area. Not sure what price wants to do, trend up or trend down. I'll wait for a clearer picture, but that's my plan going into next week for AUD/USD. Okay, so now on to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD, as you can see, still flying to the upside, consistent higher highs and higher lows. I did say I was looking for sells this week at this level here, but never saw the break of structure. We were flirting with this level a few times around 0.8250 to 500. We were testing the level a few times, but we never broke structure, never cleared any lows out, so the market continued higher. So that's why it's very important to wait for structure to break, wait for structure to be in your favor, because shorting structure like this is always going to be very, very difficult no matter what type of strategy you're trading or what type of entry you're looking for. Trading against that momentum there is always going to be difficult. So that's why it's important to wait for structure to break. Never had that, and the market continued higher. And we're coming into a second key area where we can look for some downside moves. So with NZD CAD, the higher time frames are still very bearish, and we're coming into some areas where that next lower high could potentially be looking to form. I was expecting to form around here. Obviously we didn't. We broke through. Now we're coming into that price swing low here, big rally to the upside into that level as resistance. And since we didn't see a retest of this level, and since it is a really key level here, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4 times really key level of resistance, I do think we can come back and retest it, maybe go bullish, maybe see some more upside, or we might even break through that. Who knows? The market is still completely bullish, but we do know this is a strong area here since we did rally very strongly from that, and it is a major swing low if you go to the weekly chart as well. So we know this is a key level. So if you can see a break of structure in this area, full H or hourly, we know we're in for potentially a good move to the downside. So if you can see the market break through this low here, start trading underneath that, retest, give us another lower high, we'll look for some sells to the downside into 0.82600, then possibly again some more longs back up again, because the market is still bullish. And even if you do break through structure, it's not really a clear sign that the trend is now downwards. If we can break underneath that, potentially, but we well could find support here again and start rallying. So the sells do look good, but I wouldn't push it past this key level here, 0.82500. So looking for a double top to form here. Looks like we're coming back to retest the level again. So if you can form a bit of a double top coming into this high, retest that structure, break through the neckline, which is that prior low, give me a lower high, we'll look for some sells to the downside, something like this for NZD CAD, back down into this key level, and then likewise probably some buys back up again if we do get a nice higher low formation back up into the same resistance, because the market on the 4H is still very bullish. So as the CAD, overall the higher time frames are bearish, and we could be seeing a major lower high form, but it's way too early to expect that. We're in a good area, yes, it could happen, but from price action and looking at candlesticks, it's too early to say if we will form it or not. If you can break that structure, I do see a nice move to the downside, but it might only be temporary. So do get ready to exit trades around this level here, 0.82500, and potentially look for some buys to take it back up again. But that's the analysis I've got going into next week for NZD CAD. And now on to pound NZD, which is still ranging. Unfortunately, the market is still looking very chaotic at the moment in time, so still reluctant to trade it. But nonetheless, if we do see a snap of this key support here, the market has printed a lot of wicks around this area. If we do see a snap of that, I do think the momentum that we saw originally with this strong impulse can kick in. For me, this very messy price action, this sideways price action, is just the market having its correction. Typically a correction's impulse, and we correctly move against the impulse, and then we see the next impulse. Sometimes you do get cases where we do see an impulse, market moves sideways, and then it impulses again to the downside. And I think this well could be one of those cases. So if we can break through 1.92, because I'm not really looking to get involved up in the consolidation, but if you can break out, I will be interested, and do have some targets all the way down here. You can see really strong support 2-3 times there, so around the 1.88500 mark looks like a good area to have it. Again, areas here potentially could look to exit the trade a little bit early at that support there, depending how far you want to push the trade. But nonetheless, if we can snap through 1.92, we'll be looking for some short opportunities. I will also look to short at this area here, since we had that huge head and shoulder pattern, left shoulder, which I've been talking about for a few weeks now, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, we snap through. Never really got the retest of that, so there's a chance we could fake higher first before getting the break. So I also will be eyeing up some shorts up here, but same goes here. If you can break through that, not too fast what opportunity I get, as long as we can get some momentum coming back into the market. So we can see a nice rally to the upside, short the rally back down, or see a nice break, retest, and we can short the continuation. But right now there's no real momentum, unless you're on the lower time frames. You can probably sneak a few pips here and there, but quite frankly, there's better opportunities elsewhere. So unless we get those, unless we get that sharp rally to the upside into 1.96, or a nice sharp breakout of 1.92, I'll just leave pound NZD alone until we start to see some momentum come back in, because quite frankly, it's looking very choppy and difficult to find clean setups, which is not what we want to be seeing. So this is what I'll be looking at. Pound NZD might well look for the full swing to the downside from that high. If things do look good with the rally, might look for the full swing, or exit back down there, or even exit a lot earlier up at these resistance. We'll see, but nonetheless, those are key areas I'll look to get involved at for pound NZD going into next week. Okay, so now on to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen this week broke to the downside. I was actually expecting price to rally higher into some of these areas before seeing some downside. However, the market was far too bearish and broke through this key support and potentially could head lower. Again, the higher time frames are still bullish, but it looks like we could be coming in to retest some key support down at these areas. I'm looking at this level here being the next level, and obviously potentially coming back down to these lows here as well, which is our kind of equal lows here. We had the high, higher low, high, equal lows, higher high. We could be coming back down to retest that support at 102 potentially, and actually potentially break it as well. But right now the market is quite bearish. Now on the 4H time frame, you can see the consistent lower lows and lower highs the market is been making here. So potentially we could be making one right now, retesting at 104,600. So if we can see a pullback, retest it, maybe double top at that level, another entry there, take it back down into that key level. Again, not the craziest trade in the world, but a likely trade, which is the important thing. Around 127 pips from that key level to the next one, and obviously we've got the level there at 102, which is this support, which if that level breaks would be the next logical target of where we can expect CAD Yen to go. But again, be careful with these shorts, because the high time frames are still bullish, and we could snap the bear structure pretty quickly. If the high time frames want to step in, we could easily just break straight back above, even go and take out the high and continue higher as well. But for now, we'll focus on the shorts. Something like this will look good for next week. into that level, and then if we break through, then we can probably look to push the trade a little bit further or enter a new trade. But I wouldn't be too greedy with these sells, just because of what the higher time frames are doing. So CAD yen going to next week, bearish bias until we see the 4H structure break. Looking at sells here, we just snapped through a key level here at 104, 500, sorry, and you can see we take that onto the left as well. It's a very key level of support with support all across here, so it's an important level we've just broken through. Looking for the retest, which we just had a retest of that, but hoping we can see another retest, get a second entry. And then targets 103.229. If we snap through that, we got 102 down there as well. So that's the plan going into next week for CAD yen. Okay, so now on to pound USD next, which we had a nice rally to the upside this week. I was expecting us to see some retracement to the downside, come back and retest these levels, and I was looking to go long further down here. Unfortunately, the market just found support and rallied pretty, I'm pretty sure we opened around here, slight move, and then we just flew to the upside. So difficult to catch the longs anyway, for my entries anyway. So pound USD looking quite bullish, coming to some key areas here on the daily chart, looking to see if we can get some reactions up here. We have broken above this level here and stayed above as well. So pound USD is definitely quite bullish. It is coming to that higher time frame level where we could look to reverse. So we do want to keep this level in the back of our heads. Not think about it too much because we are trading on the lower time frames, but if you do start to see some strong signs of reversal, you know, it could be the start of a bigger down move. Certainly if you clear back below 1.18, I'll be looking for a bigger collapse for pound USD, but at the moment things are still bullish. So coming into this high here at 1.22, expect to see some type of reaction and a down move. Then I will be looking at some longs down here, or even 1.18 to go long for pound USD. So essentially I'm just looking for some retracement to buy it back up again for this one, because the market has been very consistent with the higher highs and higher lows, whereas EURUSD, we've seen a big rally. Now the market's stuck at a particular resistance where we could reverse from. So sales look okay, not really my cup of tea, not gonna really try and go against the structure of the market, but I understand that is a good area and we could see some downside. For me, I'll be focusing more on the longs if we can get retracements down to these areas here at 1.194, so around about this level here, or coming back down into our key level, which is this price swing low at 1.18. Looks very nice indeed. Similar retest that we got there as well. Looking to go long for pound USD up down at 1.18 as well. So still bullish from pound for now, because the 4H structure is still bullish. Once we see the break of structure and the rejection of the higher time frame level, I'll start be looking for sells again. But at the moment, focusing on some longs from 1.194 and 1.18 for next week, and targets back up at that resistance at 1.22 for next week. Okay, so now on to pound CAD. So pound CAD rallied to the upside this week. I was looking for some long opportunities back down here. Unfortunately, didn't quite see that. Market kind of consolidated a little bit, then broke to the upside very suddenly. We had a lot of pound strength and CAD weakness at the same time. So pound CAD really flew to the upside, as you can see. So basically looking for the same again next week, some retracement. We have broken through these highs now. We've got higher high 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the market is consistently pushing through these highs, giving us a reversal of that prior bearish trend, which could kick in at a later date, but currently on the 4H and the daily as well, we're definitely bullish. So we're looking for some retracement to go long and carry this momentum on. Obvious area of interest, this level here broke with a lot of momentum. If you can see a retest of 1.595, I'll be happy to go long. As for targets, I've got this area here. We had a consolidation there, as you can see. So focusing on the low of the consolidation around 1.63, my next kind of area of interest. We're trading at these highs right now, so this is where I expect we can see some retracement from. As you can see, prior here, nice down move 1, 2 there at 1.615, and we're coming into that level there now. So looking for some retracement. Again, not really looking to sell. It's a bullish market. You know, I'm always looking to buy bullish markets and sell bearish markets. So I'm not really trying to take advantage of this retracement now. It's not really high probability either. We could easily rally to the upside as well. But since we had a big kind of explosive move like that, I do expect retracement, but I'm just not willing to trade that. If we come back down and test some of these levels, high or low, we'll be looking for some longs. basically back to the highs, and then potentially might leave some to trickle into that 1.63 level, which is that secondary target up there. But most likely we'll just trade it back to highs and probably exit the trade from there onwards. But pound CAD for me is a very bullish market. We can see the higher highs and higher lows are intact. Really strong move. Want to see some correction, not really trying to buy at those highs, especially into the resistance. And then yeah, looking to get some confirmations around the 1.595 mark to take it back into highs for next week. It's now onto pound yen, and by the way, for pound yen I did do a full breakdown of how I analyze the markets step by step using my method. If you want to check it out, feel free to go and check out the videos on my Forex education playlist, also the most recent video on my channel, obviously apart from the video you're watching right now, so go check it out if you want to. But pound yen, we're trading at a key area here. The market on the H4 is technically bearish, so we did break through some structure, as you can see, so it could be forming a lower high to continue lower, but we do know on the high time frames that the market is still bullish. If we take a look at the daily, we still do have an uptrend in the market. So the market 4H and daily is out of sync, of the time frames I should say. The time frames are out of sync. We could see the market roll over and a continuation of the 4H trend, or we could be seeing the daily kick back in and the market going bullish. And I will look for longs of pound yen, but I do want to see the market above this high. Reason being, this is our last lower high in the market on the 4H time frame, and also a key level that did, when it was used as support, provide us a move to the highs. So if the market is going to go bullish, most likely you're going to see a nice break and retest of 169, and that's where I want to be looking for my longs. And obviously targets, we'll be looking at a retest, or a revisit I should say, of 172, which is that prior swing high there. So longs look good for pound yen, but we do need to be trading above that high, and shorts look good if we can snap through this low here, because the market is a little bit sideways now. And a key level that obviously grabs our attention is this 16500, 165 level there as well. So I can see both ways for pound yen. The buys look very good, because if you do see the market break that structure, then we have the 4H and the daily in line, so the buys look very good from that perspective. But we might not see that. If we don't, still got a good opportunity. 4H is still bearish, and if you do see a break of this structure, I will also look for sells back down into this level. I do want to see this trend line break as well, and obviously we have to break through the trend line if we're going to break through that support anyway. So that's what I'll be looking at. We could go a little bit further into some of these lows and that level there, but I think for next week we'll just focus on 165 500 for now. So that's what I'll be looking at going ahead into pound yen for next week. And now onto gold. So gold this week was a little bit sideways. You can see a nice push to downside starting off the week, but since then market hasn't really done much. Kind of wick lower, wick higher, it hasn't really done much. Still trading between my two key levels in the market, which is around 1780 and also 1700. So these two key levels on the weekly time frame is my kind of range that I'm working with. Got the high there at 1780 and the low there at 1700. Since we did reject that level, I'm looking for a push back down into 1700, or price break through 1780, and then we can probably see a bigger rally to the upside. So I'm not too fast which way we go, but as of right now we're still rejecting 1780, so I'm looking at sales for a move to the downside. We have broken through this level of support. Looks like the market is struggling to break through. I do like the structure we're getting, so if we can get a double top at this level here, sales do look good for a move right back down into the support level here. Again, I'm looking at 1700, but we have to understand that the market is now forming some support here at 1736, which could look to hold and start to rally again. So this is an important level to take some profit at, and maybe even exit the trade completely. But I am looking at sales from this level on the double top of that for a move back down into 1700, first target 1736. And also if you do go and break through 1780, nice rally straight through, we'll be looking for breaking retest for price to go higher. So I will be looking at some buys on top of that as well. But at the moment we're getting still rejection of this 1755 level, so we'll be looking at some sells, double top. I will even look for the double top of 1780 as well for some sells. As long as we don't go and break through it as well. So if we do break through 1780, that's when I'll turn bullish. But as long as we trade below 1780, I'm looking at sells. I probably won't look for this huge swing trade. I'll be taking profit at these levels there. But if we do reject 1780 from our weekly time frame, we can see most likely we'll probably end up there, but I'll probably take 2 or 3 trades as we go down, not just one big one. So that's the plan for gold into next week. Looking at sales, so far we're testing key level here at 1755, so that's why I'll focus on the sales right now. But if you do break higher, 1780 kind of the next key area I'll look for. So let's see how things get on for gold, but for now we are looking at shorts. Okay, so now on to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin this week, we did see some momentum come back a little bit, but it kind of disappeared very quickly. You can see a nice move to the downside, followed by a nice move back up again. And now we're seeing the market kind of consolidate like it was doing previously. So for Bitcoin, we do have that bearish bias. You can see we have broke to the downside. If I go to the daily, see a little bit clearer. Market's still consistent with the lower lows and lower highs, and obviously colossal break through that key level there at 18,500. So we do have that next kind of key level. If I go to the weekly or maybe the monthly, might be a little bit clearer. So yeah, if I do go to the monthly chart, this is our next kind of key level we're looking to see Bitcoin come into, which is around the 13,755, 12K mark, around that area, the first kind of level around 13,755, but we could be seeing price coming to 12K, maybe 10K as well. So that's the target we're looking for Bitcoin to come into. If you take that into the 4H time frame, you can see you've got the level there. So realistically, if we do break through these lows, most likely we'll probably see, or if we can see momentum come back in like we did over there on the left, hopefully we can see the market just push straight into that 13 area. So the breaking we tested, the lows look good. The market is a little bit dry right now, so I reckon we might rally to the upside one more time and then get a nice down move. So coming into this resistance here, it looks good for some sells around 17,600, because again, it is a little bit dry right now. Not really too good to be placing entries specifically here on the 4H time frame. So I'll wait for the market to see some type of momentum, either break through this key support at 15,800, retest back down to the key monthly level, or rally to the upside so we can set it back down again, back at 17,600. But in terms of bias and everything, we've got monthly, weekly, daily, kind of 4H as well, all pointing to the downside, all showing us bearish structure here. So sales are obviously the best bet. So most likely any rally we see, is most likely gonna be short-lived, and we see the market kind of reverse and come back down again. So if you do see a nice rally to use 17,600, looking for sales straight away, and if you do see the breakout underneath the level as well, looking for sales as well. So that's the plan going ahead for Bitcoin into next week. And for our bonus pair, we have Euro JPY. So Euro JPY, I'm looking at a down move for this pair. It's been very, very choppy, been reluctant to trade it. I've actually had it on my watch list for a couple of weeks now. I've been looking for some sells, but ever since we got this choppy pullback here, I've avoided it and waiting for a bit more clarity. And now I do have that clarity. So for Euro Yen, we do have a key area here in the market, which is of prior resistance, if you count these prior highs here, and of support as well. So test. So multiple tests of this level around 144, very, very key level in the market. I'm actually looking to see if we can break through that, looking for the sells underneath it, the retest, and the move back down into 141, 250 into this area here. You can see Euro Yen is placing consistent lower highs in the market, 1, 2 with that double top, 3, 4, potentially 5. We are slowly pushing down into this level. I don't think this level will hold since we keep rallying from this level and then coming straight back down. If the market was going to rally and fly, most likely would have seen that by now. So I'm expecting this level to break at 144. Next area of interest, I'm looking at 141. We do have a bit of a minor level around here, which is this kind of demand level, big move to the upside, and we also did wick into it as well briefly over here as well, around 142,500. So I would say partials or just exit the trade completely around that area, because there's a good chance we could see some type of reaction, but 141 also looks good. So depending on your risk reward, how far you're looking to push the trade, we've got 2 key areas there we can look to target. So that's what we're looking at for pound yen. I would say, again, be a little bit careful as well, because the higher time frames are still bullish despite what the 4H is doing. You can see the daily still trending to the upside, consistent highs and consistent lows. So we could still rally to the upside and still push bullish, which is why I'm also waiting for the level to break to see the sellers, step in and take control. Now we'll look for the retest and then target 1, target 2. So that's the plan for next week for Euro Yen. So guys, this is the end of the video. Hopefully all that analysis made sense and helped. Again, if you didn't quite understand anything or have any questions, leave it down in the comment section below and I'll be sure to answer your questions. If you have enjoyed the video, I was about to say if you enjoyed the stream, if you have enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done already, if you are enjoying the content, finding it useful. All of that does really help out the channel, so I do really appreciate it. But otherwise, guys, have a great day, have a great weekend, and I'll catch you all next week.